Grow. Grew. Grown. When you grow up, what will you be when you grow up? She grows, she learns, she improves. Her interest is growing. She grows in she will prove herself. She grows in curiosity. She is curious.
Curiosity.
Her passion is growing stronger.
She grows in confidence.
She grows in confidence.
I will grow in confidence, prove myself, and reach my full potential.
This is where ambition grows, where potential grows, and where your future grows.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to learn about the sky at night.
Cambridge is where your world grows.
Welcome, everybody. We are delighted to welcome you to the third Success Academy webinar, Building Autonomy. My name is Monica Mendoza, Senior Marketing Manager for Channel Partners and Partnerships, and I'm based in Mexico. I'm thrilled to introduce our speaker today, but before we begin, here are a few tips to help you to get the most out of this presentation. Please ensure that your audio and internet connection are working properly. As this is a live event, we appreciate your patience in case anything technical issue arise. If you have any questions, we kindly ask you to use the Q&A feature in your Zoom menu. Now, I have the privilege of introducing Rosalia Valero, our Senior Assessment Manager at Cambridge. With an extensive career in ELT, Rosalia is a renowned and respected expert both in Mexico and internationally. She is the driving force behind the Celebrating Success Academy program, and I'm fortunate to call her not only a colleague, but also a friend and a mentor. The stage is yours, Rosalia.
Thank you very much for those kind words, and thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate you being here. We know there are other things you could be doing. Probably you've all had lunch, or most of you have had lunch or are going to after these, or maybe are even having lunch while you're listening to me. Go ahead, make sure you've got your coffee if you're still drinking coffee at this time. Also make sure you've got your water. Always important to keep on having water throughout the day. And without further ado, I should start because there's so much I want to tell you. First of all, thank you for coming to our Success Academy. And this should be the thing, right? Okay, not that one. No. Oh, yes. Okay. I can see so many different things, but you should be seeing, I believe you are seeing now the presentation, right? Monica, can you just confirm?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're in the right place. So I should go and start. So this is, let me see if I change here. Yes. You should be able, I can see what I'm going to say next, but you should only be able to see what I'm showing you now, which is the Developer Autonomy. It's a Success Academy. Today is December the 3rd. Can you believe that? Already December. And this is what you will be hearing about today. So this is something you have to pay attention to. We don't spend as long as we used to before telling you what to do, because you know what to do. How many How many webinars have you participated at? Have you attended? Umpteen, we all have, right? So this is what I intend to tell you about. Remind you of the exam preparation journey that Celebrating Success is all about. We're going to see why we say building autonomy is important. And we're going to touch on specifically 2 skills and 2 parts of the Cambridge English exams, listening and writing. It's not going to be a webinar about listening and a webinar about writing at the same time, because when we do those, we have at least 1 hour to talk about listening or certain aspects of listening, and the same for writing, and then the same for any paper or any skill. We're going to talk about your Celebrating Success journal, because that is something very important. And I want you to know, and I want you to be brutally honest to yourselves. You don't have to confess anything here, right? It will be your secret, but we'll try and have some time for questions and answers. Feel free to ask questions. If there is something that I don't know how to answer at this time, at this point in life, I will tell you openly. I don't know, but I will go find out and let you know, okay? And careful, if you're using your computer, your laptop for these, make sure you've got your mobile. But don't worry if you haven't got it or if you're using your mobile for these. I'm going to be sharing some QR codes. But remember, you will be getting a thank you for coming to this webinar. And then later you will be getting, these are the resources that were mentioned. So you can go and check everything yourselves again and watch it at a different pace, whatever, explore further what you would like to explore further. And of course, every webinar from the Success Academy is being recorded so that you can go back and listen to things, right? And then go and look for things, etc. So if this is your first webinar at the Success Academy, welcome. If this is your first, your second, or your third, or I think probably for some people they will say fourth, thank you for coming back. We hope to make them better and better all the time. So all your feedback is always welcome. So let's go on. So our journey today, last week, and this was something that you will see again in the near future, and I'll go through the dates if we have time with you for the next webinars. You had my lovely friend and wonderful Cambridge colleague, Dr. Miranda Hamilton, and she talked about how to be smart, which is the second exam preparation journey pack. So I say this is the fourth webinar because the first one was like an introduction to what we will be doing in this exciting Celebrating Success project, okay? Today is pack number 3, about pack number 3. But the idea is that I give you an idea about the pack. You know, because you are working in the classroom. And remember what I've always said, when it comes to your classroom, you are the expert. Nobody knows better about those learners, about what's happening in that context than yourself, okay? So today I will bring some things to your attention when we're looking at exam preparation journey pack 3, okay? So let's go on. And this is just a quick recap. This is by using the exam preparation journey. And as I've said before, the exam preparation journey is a way we have developed to communicate about resources to support you, okay? I'm sure that many of you, if not most of you, already know about these resources, but it's always a good idea to remember and then to say, oh yes, I haven't used that for a long time. I would like to start using it again. Oh, funny, I have never heard about that. Okay, maybe I didn't know. Maybe this is the first time you're preparing for a specific exam. All of you here who are following the Celebrating Success project, we take it that you register because you have a classroom where your learners will be taking one of the Cambridge exams. So they're getting ready and you are their guide, okay? So this is what the exam preparation journey is all about. You are already doing these. What we did was we curated some of the many, and may I say again, many resources that Cambridge has created and that are available for you, free to use and ready to be downloaded by you, so that you can think about different things to use when preparing your learners for any of those exams, okay? Although you will see that for the exam preparation journey, the packs themselves will tell you about from Cambridge A to Key for Schools, all the way to Cambridge C2 Proficiency. But don't worry, we love our young learners. So of course, we'll be talking about the young learners English exams. All right, so let's go. So I said pack 3. What does pack 3 feature? We're talking about building autonomy and supporting learners. So this is about things to do with listening, because you're going to see the other skills at, coming to you being featured in a later pack, right? We're going to talk about formats. What formats? The exam formats. We're talking about reflecting on what has been happening, not just you with your journal, as we will refer to later, but these, look at these. I love this photograph, because it's this girl saying like, yes, she's having a lovely aha moment. So I get it. This is what you do, etc. Then we'll talk about writing, and we know, don't we, that writing sometimes it's like, not the most popular thing for our learners, and this goes to show mainly and sadly that what do you need in order to write well? You need to read. And we know that, unfortunately, our country in general, I know it's not good to overgeneralize, but unfortunately, I think it's safe to say that in general, Mexico is not a country of readers, which is very sad. So Mexico, not a country of readers, therefore, Mexico, not a country of people who feel confident about their writing. And we will also mention resources. And I'm using lots of QR codes. That's why I said be ready, but don't worry. We will have the main QR codes that you will see will come at the end. We know that you will be waiting for those. Don't worry, you'll have a minute for those. I will go more quickly with the other ones. But remember, there will be a follow-up email where we will share, and these are all the links to the resources that were mentioned, okay? So let's go on. We're going to be talking about all of that. So if some of you can say, hi, Rosalia, I know where you got that from, like my son Cricket, when I showed him what I was talking about today, as Res and Link would say, and I hope you know who Res and Link are, because I really enjoy watching them. I laugh a lot with them. Let's talk about that, shall we? Okay, why build autonomy? And this is where I ask you, would you like to write something? Let me go look for, yes, this is the chat. I just want to see what you're writing in the chat. So feel free, right? Thank you all. Pau, you're still at work. Thank you for joining us here, right? Sandra, again, everybody who's here. And feel free to write. Why build autonomy? Is it a good idea? Well, first of all, just a very simple question. So feel free to write yes or no quickly, in like about 30 seconds, please. Is it a good idea to build autonomy when it comes to our learners? Yes or no? What do you think? Are you feeling yes? Thank you. Thank you. Mercy, Sandra, yes. Yes, yes. Okay. So it's a general yes. Today, I can say definitely. Okay, I like that. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, because are you going to be with your learners on the day of the exam? Are they going to have you there on the day of the exam? And the answer is no. In fact, I know that some of you may be also supporting Cambridge exams, and you have been invited to be supervisors or invigilators, or in some brilliant cases, speaking examiners. And we are always happy, our centers, I can tell you, are always happy to talk about the possibility of you becoming an approved Cambridge speaking examiner, or helping them with the supervision and invigilation of the exams. Anybody who's been a teacher for a group of candidates, the students that are taking an exam during the last 2 years, is not welcome in that room where candidates are taking the exam, because we want to avoid prejudice. We want to avoid anything that can feel like maybe something that is not right. Okay, so you will not be with them on the day of the exam. They will be on their own. So the quicker they can feel safe without having you there, but they know what the exam is like, what they are supposed to do, etc. They remember what you did in class with them, so much the better for everyone. Right now, I'm checking, and I'm sure again, I forgot to write when I should be saying goodbye to you. So let me just do that very quickly, because it helps me if I can see. So this should give me a good idea, right? Of when to stop. All right. So you're not going to be there with them, obviously, on the day of the exam. So we need to do all those things. All right. So let's go on. So we build autonomy. Now start working. So I'm going to bring the chat here. Helping our learners become good listeners, or if they're already good for them, better listeners. And this is very, very important. So let's talk about really listening, becoming a good listener, or becoming even better listeners. All right. So let's see. My computer today only wants to work with the mouse. So what does effective listening involve? When we listen, we do different things. We talk about the skills in communication, right? What we do. So we say we listen, we write, right? We speak, we read, okay? And several years ago, there was this thing about, should grammar be considered the fifth skill? So there were people like in the United States saying maybe we should call, was it Diane Larson Freeman who said maybe we should talk about grammaring? She started using grammar as a verb. And the interesting thing about English is that you can do that. You can turn verbs into nouns, nouns into verbs, start using adverbs. Very interesting, right? So listening is the skill. So we have sub-skills. And let me mention the 4 most agreed on sub-skills, right? There are some people that say, no, we shouldn't just talk about 4, maybe there's 5, 6. I remember reading once an article where it said maybe we should talk about the 12 different sub-skills of listening, or involved in listening, okay? But let's look at the 4 that everybody agrees on, okay? So it's predicting, it's listening for gist, it's listening for key information, and it's listening for detail understanding, okay? So as I told you, we also have specific webinars for each one of the different papers or skills. So if there is something here that sounds new to you, we'll let you know where you can go and see those recorded webinars. And maybe you'd like to explore 1 or 2. And we're always creating new webinars. We're always letting you know when the next webinars about specific exams, specific levels, etc. are coming your way. I believe in Mexico, for example, this is the last one of the year, okay? This one you are here with me today. So listening. First of all, listening, not the same as hearing. As you're listening to me, maybe I remember people were saying during the Quédate en Casa, the pandemic, right? The COVID years, when the schools were closed, Mexico shared with the world the lovely cultural things that we have from our streets, such as se venden tamales, right? Or se compran colchones, whatever, etc., and lots of different things. All right. We learn also different things from other countries when we went to international webinars. So we are listening to the person who's presenting, but we can still hear what is happening, right? So if I hear something falling or my dog barking, etc., I hear that, but I'm listening, I'm paying specific attention to my voice because I'm the only person talking here right now, right? So not the same as hearing, and there are different things that we have to do. There's such a thing as activating schemata being the plural for schema, right? And this is chances are we have already heard or read, right? Or even written something about something, right? That we're listening to. So something triggers our memory. We activate our schemata. We're evoking, we are getting that memory to come back into us. And that's very important, which is why, for example, when we in class, we say, you're going to listen to Mary talking to George. So they know that there are two people, right? And they're talking about animals in Australia, right? What happens when I said animals in Australia? I'm pretty sure that I can guess at least two of the animals you thought of immediately, right? Can I say probably many of you thought about koalas and or kangaroos? Am I right? You don't need to write, but I'm sure my chances are very, very, very high that I got it right, right? That is activating schemata. So that's why we do it. That's why when we don't just say, read these and answer the questions, we say, oh, we're going to read about these, and you use a course book, whatever course book you're using, and there's a beautiful photograph, or there are several visuals. That is to help activate the schemata, because even if you don't want to, your brain does that. It starts accessing all those memory archives and getting and say, Rosalia, this is what you already know. It's not, we don't have photographic memory. No, but we can, the things that we were really interested in, the things that really caught our attention, right? Like I tell you, koalas, we thought for a long time that they were very nice, sweet, and cute animals, and it turns out that they are ferocious, right? So when I read that, when I learned about that, I was shocked, right? Listening for gist. And this is like when you are skimming, that you try and get the general idea, the general topic, okay? So that's for reading. For listening, we say you listen, we listen for gist, the general topic. Listening for key information. And we're going to have some examples, a couple of examples here. So you want to hear a specific word or specific words and or a phrase because of the prompt that you were given, because of the instructions that you're following, because there is a question or there is a task, right? And also listening for detail understanding. So understanding the content and maybe the opinions and or the attitude of the person or the people that are speaking, right? And if you have used any exam practice materials, you know that this is something that you will find a recurring thing in the listening exam, right? And something I added here, which is not specific for listening, is the fact that when you have not just one skill, but you have another skill or a couple more skill, or even the 4 skills, if you want to be, wow, I can do these, and I'm sure my learners can do these, you can add something. So when you add a transcript, you have listening and reading. So your learners' brains are working with 2 different things that they can do, right? They are listening to something and they are reading what they are listening to. So it helps them in many ways. You can say people like it because it helps them to reinforce what they believe about the right, correct pronunciation for words, for phrases, etc. is. It gets them to be more familiar with different accents, etc. That's why we say make the most of those listening materials, listening resources you have to use with the coursebook that you're using, etc. Okay, so examples, and here we go to everyday life. Let's talk about predicting, for example. Listening to a family, planning a family trip. And this is the family is your family or your learners' families, right? And see if you can, if this feels familiar, right? So it's a time, it's the beginning of December, right? Last week, still November, this week, it's already December. And what happens in December? In many cases, there are holes. December holidays coming soon, not soon enough, some of you might say, right? So planning the holiday, do you usually go out? So if you go out, this is something that you will be talking about, okay? Or if you have children, maybe with not so young kids, but maybe your teenagers, etc. They usually, I mean, teenagers will always want to have a say in every conversation and in every decision. I remember when cricket is my son, by the way, was a teenager, right? So he said, yes, no, I don't like that. No, I think we should, whatever, right? So when you hear that, and already I'm sure you are beginning to think where you would like to go, if you've already got your tickets, if you're already thinking of taking your car, who you're going with, if you're going to go out with friends, whatever, all those things. And then you see it. I see myself. It's going to be Cancun. It's not going to be cold as it is here in Mexico City, or it's not going to be as hot as it has been recently in Monterrey, right? You start seeing that is because when you heard something and you started visualizing, that's your schemata coming to you, okay? So this is something that happens. It's like when you're in a meeting and you hear something, you say, oh, I hope they don't ask me because I haven't done this. Oh, me. I want to be asked about this because I know, right? Or you're in class and your learners hear something and sometimes they are saying, me, choose me. And you haven't even given them a question or a task or asked for volunteers, right? That's because of the schemata and coming your way, evoking something you already know, right? And sometimes it's not good. Remember, we have to avoid things like word spotting. When you hear or when you read one word and you think that's a correct answer because you've heard it or seen it somewhere else, right? But that's for another day. So another example from everyday life, listening for key information. So let's say, still talking about holidays, because it's nice to talk about holidays in December, right? You're at the airport. This is your situation. You're flying up to Cabo San Lucas. Lucky you. I thought of Cabo San Lucas because I have a friend from Brazil who really loves coming to Mexico, but she goes directly to Cabo San Lucas, my dear friend Piri, right? You don't really pay attention. You're at the airport, remember, and there are how many announcements? 2003 in an hour, right? You don't really pay attention when they mention flights to Acapulco. You're not going to Acapulco. Cancun, you're not going to Cancun this time. You're not going to Merida. You're not going to Guadalajara, etc. Right? Where are you going? You're going to Cabo San Lucas. And then you hear, good afternoon to passengers flying, celebrating Success Airlines today. This is a pre-boarding announcement for flight CS2425 to Cabo San Lucas. And all of a sudden, yes. So which is the gate? Are they already starting to depart? Where do I have to go? Am I in the right place? Do I have to walk 2 kilometers to go where I need to be, etc.? You pay attention, right? So this is listening for key information. So this is also something that we do in the classroom, okay? So, listening. Let's talk now about, obviously, when we talk about any skill, we say, it's like we say, how do you learn to walk? By walking. You start, first you crawl, then you start walking, and then you need to keep on walking. And then one day, eventually, babies will also, when they're 1.5 years old, they will run, right? So how can our learners practice more and enjoy the experience? Practice listening. How can they practice more and enjoy the experience? let's think about this. And you can have 30 seconds to write some ideas. It can be just one word or a couple of words. What do your learners enjoy listening to? I know some of you are teaching at the primary school. You can start writing. Feel free. I can see what you write. Some of you are at primary school, getting ready for starters, movers, and or flyers, or even A2 key for schools. Some of you are teaching at the secondary school. Come on, don't be shy. Oh, 5 new messages. I am the one. Okay, thank you. Yes, Carmen says songs, right? Very good. Keep it just one word or a couple of words. So some of you are already teaching at bachillerato, because those are the levels, the school levels that we have people who are participating, and music is key. Angel, I couldn't agree more, right? Just like with songs. Okay, so what else? Songs about animals, very interesting. Chants, very good, Guadalupe. And of course, chants, we usually think of young learners listening to horror stories. Yes, definitely. TikToks, yes, more and more of that. Very good. Their favorite artists, so performers, etc. And you will see great minds think alike. That's me being humble, right? So we have things like, this was the you tell me, right? But now I'm going to share with you. Yes, I agree with you, definitely. Guessing games, very good, very good. Yes. Podcasts, very good, right? Karaoke, okay, very good. I had an impromptu karaoke at a conference I participated at last week. It was great. I love karaoke. If you have karaoke at your schools, please invite me, right? Films, as you said, obviously you have been doing great. Stories. And here I wrote maybe poems. Do you ever read poems to your learners? It's great. I studied English literature, so of course I like poems, right? Storytelling. That's great. It's not a storyteller in Spanish is a cuentacuentos. But let me tell you, storytelling, not just for young learners, not just for children, right? We all love storytelling. Remember, before writing started, that's how we shared those stories. So the person who learned the stories and shared the stories was greatly appreciated by people, right? We have recorded stories. So some of you, for example, and it's not a commercial, but there is something, there are places where you can find recorded stories, recorded novels, sometimes by the author himself. So Charles Dickens novels, not recorded with Charles Dickens reading, obviously, but things that are from our times, you can find the people, right? And I have two suggestions for you about storytelling. Jan Blake is an English storyteller. She lives in London. And I wrote Crick Crack because that's as a storyteller, and she has changed this. When she is telling a story, she wants to know that the listeners are really paying attention and are engaged. So she asks them, when I will tell you a story, and she's great, right? So that's why I say go and see her. If we have time, I will show you a little bit of a video I have here ready to show you, right? And she tells the audience. So sometimes during the story that I'm telling you, I will say trick, and you will have to answer crack. That's how I know that you are paying attention. And she says, so let's rehearse now. Trick and the audience, and I'm talking about somebody who tells stories for hundreds of people, and you can find her on YouTube, and she is great. We can learn so much from her. So if I were telling you a story, I could do something like this, saying, I say creek, you say crack. Everybody says, right? And you do that. And in Mexico, we have our own national treasure that is Mario Ivan Martinez. Sorry, who's a great storyteller. And let me tell you about Mario Ivan. He was also an ELT practitioner, just like ourselves. He taught English. So it's great. He does it mostly in Spanish, but sometimes he has done special performances where he does it in English, right? And feel free to write here if you would like to know more about how to become a storyteller or how to become a better storyteller. I have a friend, my friend Sarah Ellis, who's based in Italy, who's great at storytelling. So it's always nice for us to know about what sort of webinars you would like to have. And I think I would like to one day participate one where we share ideas about how to tell stories better, how to become better storytellers. So feel free to say if you'd like something like that, okay? How about when our learners are at home? Let's talk about really young learners, okay? Awesome, Guadalupe. I'm glad you're excited about that. Let's see if we can make it happen next year, right? So when I remember, let me go back to the COVID years. We were there and families were saying, please, Cambridge, what can I do? Rosalia, tell us about what we can do at home for our kids to practice English, right? You may think, no, we don't want them to become English teachers. They're not English teachers. In fact, many of them said, my English is really basic, right? Or I only took the Cambridge B1 preliminary exam or the Cambridge A2 key exam, etc., whatever, right? Do you think that's impossible? No, they can do things at home that can help them, right? So families usually enjoy these, become super popular with your learners' families and give them ideas, share ideas with them that they can do at home, okay? Here are some ideas you may like to see, right? This is what I would tell, this is what I have been telling families, right? Start with one sentence first. And here, this is for you. This is a fill in the blanks. Because if we start with one sentence, they can start activating their what? Yes. If you thought schemata, you said, yes, Rosalia, you have mentioned schemata about 84 times, and you will hear it a bit more, right? It's very important. Tell them about starting a story with once upon a time, and usually this is followed by there was or there were, right? So that's really a very good place to start, right at the very beginning, right? Then you check the channel. This means when there is communication, you want to check that communication is still happening. That is Jan Blake doing prick and the audience saying crack, right? So you also want to check the channel. So you say to your parents, because if they find the story boring, they're going to stop paying attention, right? We know that can happen sometimes in our classrooms, right? It also happens at home. Okay, so add paralinguistic features. Paralinguistic features being these things that are not, we're not speaking, right? But we're doing things like you see me, right? They said that we Mexicans, we speak with our hands. If I couldn't use my hands, I would feel sort of, I cannot really speak 100% like I usually do. So I use my hands, right? So when Moni said rightfully and truthfully, we've become really very, very good friends, I use my hand to signify a heart because it's, like that was very popular years ago. I heart you. Well, I heart you, Moni. Thanks for saying that, right? So when you are storytelling in the classroom with your learners, use paralinguistic features and also recommend these to families when you tell them, this is something that maybe you'd like to do for the December holidays, right? Dramatic pauses. I was explaining these to Cricket. I say, remember when I told you stories, when I read you stories, I would not go just reading and then one and then two and then three. I would say, and then one and then two. I would stop for a few seconds and I would ask him something like, what do you think is three, right? So then you give them the chance for the learners or their kids to say something that can happen, right? Dramatic pauses, your friend, they're great. And you feel like I should be getting the Oscar for the best teacher and storyteller next year, right? The Academy deserves to give me that. Create opportunities for interaction, right? So after a dramatic pause, that makes the greatest opportunity for interaction because they will be dying to tell you what they think is going to happen, right? We know young learners, right? Some of you are with teenagers. That's a different challenge, right? But guess what? Teenagers and adults also enjoy and can benefit from storytelling, not just for little kids, right? Try using different voices. Some of you might have read the Harry Potter books when Cricket was young, when the Harry Potter film started coming out. He said, "Please, please, let's buy the books." Me, naively, at the time, remember saying, "No, let's wait for the 7 books to be out." And as you know, that took years and years and years, right? So he said, "No, no, no, there's already 4, so let's start with the 4." And you know, the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one, and they started getting like that. Okay. It was great. I had, and I said, I had a voice for Professor Snape, who was always, I haven't rehearsed in a long time, right? But there was a voice for Snape, there was a voice for Harry Potter, there was a voice for Dumbledore, right? And I'm not doing them now. I remember, for example, for the elves, it was a different voice. For all of them, right? I had to have a different voice for all of them. And if we are, let's face it, if we are ELT practitioners, educators, chances are we enjoy being performers as well. It's in our heart, it's in our nature, right? Just like you keep on seeing me use my arms. It's like they also say that about Italians, okay? So visuals or props, right? You have things. So he said, and guess what he found in his pocket? Dramatic pause. A piece of chocolate. And I'm not promoting this kind, but this is the one I found right here. Okay. But the character in the story could have found anything. And you decide it could have been a tomato, it could have been a potato, it could have been, I don't know, a piece of paper, an invitation, a Kleenex, something, right? Engage with the audience by having them make sounds, for example, and we all know. So you're going to be the wind. Now all the girls are going to be the wind. So when you hear something about, and then the wind, strong wind, very, very slow wind, it starts to sound like waves, etc. Or you be a cat. My friend Moni loves cats, right? Just she would be going meow, right? But I like dogs, so I prefer to be the dog. So I go woof, woof. No, no, no. This is a very small puppy. Woof, 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 right? We all enjoy doing that. We're all performers in our heart, all right? Repetition is great with very young learners. So remember the story of the 3 little pigs? You find things that your learners will enjoy repeating again and again and again. And with their parents, it will be make it easier because they will have only some things, and they say, you are going to say that. So we have things like little pig, that's a wolf. So little pig, let me in, let me in. It's a very bad wolf, remember? So make it sound as evil as possible. And the first little pig, no, no, not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin. And it's great because they know parts of the body, parts of the face, right? But this is the chinny chin chin, right? And it's not, it's a nice, right? It's we are repeating the same start with chinny, right? Which I'm sure they had never heard, chin chin, right? And then remember what the wolf said back. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down, right? And he's sounding very dramatic and very evil, etc. And we know that with the first pig, crash, the house went down. So somebody has to create those noises, etc. And then with the second pig as well. But what happened to the third pig? We all know that story, right? So, resources for listening. You have lots of things you can start using. Now, I'm using QR codes. That's why you had that warning there. So we have specific resources for the different levels. So you don't have to go there right now. I'd much rather you kept on listening here because I've only got you for a bit more time. So let's go on because I have to do writing. There's also for listening at the different levels. So I'm only sharing this with you Don't worry if you find me going on quickly, because you will get all the links, okay? You won't see the nice dinosaur, but you will be getting the links for all of them, okay? And I'm sure some of you have already been listening to them, getting them, okay? Now, information about the format of the exam, which is something I also said we would be looking at. So where can your candidates, depending on their age, they may have no interest whatsoever in knowing more about the exam. We know it, being brutally honest, right? But their families do want to know about the exam, right? So lots of important things about the exam. There's something called the information for candidates booklets. And I'm sure there's at least one available in Spanish, right? Again, and I hope we'll have the time to show you one of these. So this is what you do. You search for information for candidates and the name of the exam, the level of the exam, and you will find it there. But we will be sharing all these things. So what will you be getting there? This is what you will be getting. This is information that you can share with the families, and usually the families want to know, okay? And what happens after how they get the results, what the certificates mean, etc. Information for candidates, lots of useful things. And again, one for each level. And as I've told you, we'll try and send you also the teacher's handbook is also very interesting and full of useful information. I believe we talked about that 2 webinars ago. You both, apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. So that, yes, the handbook also infinitely helpful, okay? So something you've already heard probably, okay, mouse work. And it's traffic light cards. And if you were here with Miranda on Friday, you invite the class to do stop, think, and signal, right? To see if I were with you in person, I would be asking you, right? And these are my felt thingies that I always have here available because I do it too. So you can also do it with them. When you're talking about, it's a good idea to talk about the exam, especially when you're at lower secondary school, definitely when you're at upper secondary school, bachillerato, because it's important for them to know, okay? So, very important. And for example, here I said, and I will show you some common questions about writing. The thing about these information for candidates, you download them. Don't ask for a hard copy, something printed, because these ones really are glorious when you download them because of all the links that you can use. And I hope we can have time for me to show you a little bit, okay? But now let's talk about something that you yourselves have to write, my lovelies, and that is the Celebrating Success Journal. Let's recap first. General information, and this is, here we have 3 different universes, as it were, because we have our preparation centers. We also have preparation centers that are part of Cambridge English School, and we also have lovely preparation centers. You're all lovely preparation centers from UNOI, okay? You all have something in common for celebrating success and your participation. You need points. The journal will create points, so you need to keep on working on the journal. One thing to reflect, this is what the journal is for you to reflect for each step of the exam preparation journey. There is something we ask you to reflect on. So 3 webinars so far. If you haven't seen any of the webinars, please, preparation centers, ask your learning and assessment consultant or your center directly. Cambridge English Schools, ask Sophie Moreno, right? And UNOI, please go and ask your coaches if this doesn't sound familiar to you. So let's see. Remember, we had these in, when are we going to get the journals? I'll show with you, right? That's an excellent question, Lourdes, because you should have got a link. If you haven't got the link, right? You ask preparation centers, go to your centers. Cambridge English Schools, ask Sophie and Uno participants, please ask your coaches. They know all these and where to find the information. But here you have a QR code where you can go to the landing page, and I will share that with you. So you need to create your journal. I'm going to show you the instructions for the journal, but you need to write on that journal. You're going to write, it's a Word document, right? And you're going to write in it. So is it difficult to write what you need to write on the journal? Of course not, because it's about the different things that the webinars will be guiding you on. For each webinar, remember, there is an according pack in the exam preparation journey. So you can go and explore things in more detail. This is like I'm giving you a taste of this is the pack. These are the things we ask you to reflect on. These are the things that you will find really useful at this time that you're probably at going through this time of the school calendar in Mexico, okay? So you need to reflect. So let's look at the questions that you've already had, because you've already had the first two webinars. So the first webinar, it was, this is what is coming. This is celebrating success. You're all invited, etc. With webinar 2, we started the journey. You started the journey. So this is what you had to reflect on and to write. Describe your exam preparation planning and provide an example of how you approach one of the different papers or skills. So for example, speaking, listening, etc. So you say, okay, so for speaking, because I know they can be very shy, this is what I do, A, B, C, etc. Right? This is still, you can do it. You can do it. Try to go to your December holidays having done the first 3, or at the very least, the first 2. Okay? This was for the second one. You had lovely Miranda last Friday for the Consejo Técnico Day. We know this is not the Consejo Técnico Day, but we said we needed to pack all the packs during the school year, right? So she talked about being smart, right? When it comes to exam preparation. This is what you have to reflect on, developing learners' confidence. So you describe a particular activity or a task that worked for you and your learners. That's important thing, because you're reflecting on your practice, on your classroom, with your learners, what you did, what worked. Make sure, here we say, mention the level, the number of students, what the objectives you had for that were, and why you think it was successful. So what were your targets and how do you know that you achieved those targets? So those 2 things should have already been done, but don't despair if you haven't. You've still got time, but don't wait to start doing that, okay? Some do's, and these are recommendations for you. When you go out of class, the class where you're preparing your learners for a specific Cambridge exam, take notes. For some people, it's better if they create, it's easier and it makes more sense if they create, for example, the journal is very easy. You're going to see it's Microsoft Word, okay? The last webinars, they have all been recorded, right? And in the Q&A, my colleagues are saying you can see back. Can you go back to webinar 1, please? Yes, you can watch it. I will be there saying things. It was a panel. It was a lovely experience, etc. So take notes, and your notes can be a mind map. Some of you find mind maps great, and that's a great way to go. Reflect on the planning, the delivery, and the outcomes. Why did you think of doing that? How it happened? Did you have time to finish everything you had planned? Why not, right? The outcomes, was it successful? Did you like it? Do you think your students had a good time, etc.? Be honest and share your experience. It's not an observation. We're not going to say, oh, so you failed that class. No. It's for you. When we reflect, we learn, right? Yes, we're going to read your journal, but just to see how you went through the exam preparation journey and what you learned. Sometimes when we make the mistakes, that's when we get the most important lessons. Remember, So making a mistake is okay, provided we learn. We don't talk about mistakes or things that went wrong. We talk about learning experiences, remember? Because when we do a class, sometimes we're wrong. Yay for us. Sometimes we do okay, so right? And what happens very, very few times, occasionally, really seldom, we bomb. So we say, oh, right? I hated myself there. It has happened. I know it has happened. You don't have to be cruelly honest, just be brutally honest and say, but next, this didn't work, but next time, this is what I would do, right? So you make your notes, very important. Note taking. It's another thing. When you listen, it's also a very good idea to practice note taking. So this time you're going to practice note taking, but right after you deliver your class, you have already planned it. When you plan it, you can make the notes for that planning moments, or for the planning moments, right? When you have at least 10, ideally like 20 minutes, go to the journal and then reflect and write. And you react. Did you like it? Did you not like it? So this is what we will be asking you when you finish with journal, with the pack for the journal. You're going to be, it's about building autonomy. So developing students' confidence. Describe a particular activity, just one activity, not the whole class, or tasks that work for you and your learners. So this is feel positive, feel good. This really worked well. What was the level? Are you preparing them to take movers, for example? Are you preparing them to take Cambridge B1 preliminary, etc.? How many students? Do you think it worked because it was only like 15 students, or was it 22, but still it worked? What were the objectives, or what was the main objective, and what did you achieve? How do you know that you achieved the target? Some don'ts, and this is just, don't wait too long because we all forget. We all forget. The reason I watch The Holiday, the film, every December is because I love it and I forget. It's like I cry again and I forgot that I have cried there, etc. You don't have to write a dissertation, right? It doesn't have to be 5 pages for each thing that you write about, for each of the tasks. Please don't use artificial intelligence to write it. You know, and we know that artificial intelligence has one way of going to things, right? Don't do that. We want to hear from you. We want to listen to you, okay? And this is a long one, but don't forget about what you've already written, right? Teaching is a cycle. We all have to go. We are there and we have to go back and we have to do things again, because that's how we learn. That's how our learners learn, right? So when you have something similar to what you have already written, it's okay to go back to that part. The journal is going to be with you all school year long. So you can go back and you said, I did a similar activity again and it worked better because or I tried this change, but I liked it the way it was originally better, okay? This journal is about you. This journal is supposed to help you, okay? So I want to do something very quickly to make you feel like festive. Okay, yes, thank you for the reminder. I need to go and finish quickly. But let's try and do this here because you'll only have to write one letter. And this, I say, the end of the school year is near. It's December the 3rd. It's beginning to look a lot like something somewhere, right? And being here non-denominational, right? So let's see how much we know. Can you be ready just to write? It's usually A, B, C, or maybe D, or maybe even just E. It's just for you to see the sort of things that you can do, the sort of things that we can have, the sort of things we've already had in some webinars. Ready for some action? It's action, and I hope you have fun, right? Somewhere in the world, this is a country, and people in this country, believe it or not, if you've never heard about it, they eat KFC, what used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken, on December the 25th. No, it's not Mexico, but is it? And start writing your letters. Okay, Canada, that's A. Norway, Japan, or Greece. You have 5 more seconds. And as the first person to write said, it's Japan. Crazy, isn't it? Well, crazy for us, right? Okay, ready for the next one? All Saint Nick, which is another way of referring to Santa. This is not the name of one of Santa's reindeer. These are not all the names, right? There's more reindeer. But one of those is not the name of a reindeer. And you have, again, 5 seconds. Because you all know it, of course, right? Twister. I think I was thinking of the film Twisters, right? So, ready for the next one? I think you said yes. So many things to celebrate. But this is not a real holiday celebration. And if you are a fan of Jerry Seinfeld and the Seinfeld Show, right? You okay? So go on. Which one? Oh, you should say A, B, C, or D. Sorry, right? So go on. Try, guess, right? As we say to our learners, if you don't know, guess. And of course, if you said festivals D, you were correct. Okay, ready for the next one? I think we have a couple more. Witches in December, really, right? Now, there's this country, and people hide their brooms so you cannot sweep your floors because they believe that Christmas Eve coincides with the arrival of witches. Really? What is this place? Argentina? Is it Turkey? Is it Australia because they see things from a different perspective, right? Or is it Norway? What do you think it is? You have 5 seconds, right? Yes, if you said Norway, right? Witches. Can you believe witches? We go to the last one, I believe, and this is yummy because it's about food. So very soon, many people will be lighting the menorah. They'll be having latkes, potato thingies that are absolutely delish. They will be playing dreidel, and this means that they'll be celebrating 1, 2, 3, and of course, I have to go now very quickly, right? Hanukkah, right? That's the Jewish celebration. And this is really the last one. That sounds great. If you expect to enjoy more food, black-eyed peas, jollof rice, peanut stew, and fried plantain, that means somebody's celebrating what? 1, 2, 3. Yes, Kwanzaa. That's the other one. And yes, I managed to finish. Good, because I think they're going to say, Rosalia, you are running out of time or you have run out of time. So let me stop sharing. I just want to show you very quickly. I promise it will be very quickly. Let me go back to share something, Money, please. I promise to be quick. And this is where, okay, this is the one I want to share. This is the link you will be getting to see. This is what you will be, this is what your journal will look like, okay? Now, I was highlighting some things, but this is what you will get. You'll get the landing page and you'll go directly to the journal. We explain to you. We tell you this is a journal to reflect on earn points. You talk about your class, you make it specific, the age and the grade. So this is year 4th grade because they're getting ready to take movers, right? How many students have you got in your class? This is all using the Word document, okay? How many students will be taking the exams? Current language level. So is it if you can mention, quote, the CFR level, so much better. What exam are you preparing for, right? What materials are you using? So you will have, for each one, we remind you here, this is number 1, after you saw that webinar, this is what you reflect on, or this is the time of the year when you reflect on this. Yes, we have said that webinars are optional. You don't have to come. You don't lose points if you don't come. But oh, you can learn new things. You can hear about different perspectives for things that you're going through the school year while preparing learners for your exam. So we do invite you to please come, and you're all getting your beautiful, you will see your QR codes for those that you have to download. You have all the ones, so you can see the next one, right? And the next one for all the different webinars that are coming, for all the different packs that are coming. And you will see that there are some webinars that are not just on, so let me stop sharing, that are not just on the date. It's time to take roll to receive your certificate. So please do that, right? And this is my colleague sharing that with you. We will share all the codes again. Of course, Lourdes, be sure you will sure get them, all the codes, the file, everything, not the file itself, but the link so that you can download the file. So please, please do yourselves a big favor. See yourself, visualize yourself. That's very powerful. In London, going to Cambridge, having beers or tea with John Soon. I remember he promised, right? So he will be there. You will be going to a very nice event there at Cambridge, and probably a very nice place in Cambridge. You can see yourself taking that British Airways plane. You can see yourself at the British Embassy getting that. You have to write the journal. Okay, we really need that journal. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry, we didn't have time. There's one. Oh, the question says thank you. You're welcome. I think we need another code, or have you have we shown the other code?
No, we only have these two codes, and
Okay.
we will wait one. We will give 1 minute, so everybody can choose the one that
Let everybody see
applies.
your beautiful face, Moni, while we say
Yeah.
goodbye, because my colleagues here made this possible. Thank you very much for being here. We all want you to have a great time when the December holidays start. You deserve it, right? We all need to go and recharge our batteries. But please, before you go, just remember what we say to our learners. Don't postpone this. Do it before you start your holidays so that you can really, really enjoy your holidays, so that you can really watch the holiday. I mean, Jude Law looking like that so many years ago. Wow. And there are so many nice Christmas films. I'm sure if we had time, we would talk about those special, not just Christmas films, but also for Hanukkah, for Kwanzaa, etc. And if you are a preparation center, talk to your LAC, your learning assessment consultant, or your center. If you are working with UNOI, please talk to your coaches. The coaches know where all the recorded webinars are. They also have all the links that you'll be getting, but don't worry, you will be getting them. And Cambridge English Schools, you can ask Sophie directly, okay? To all of you, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And I will be here probably to present the following one. I will be with you presenting in some webinars. I hope you don't get tired of me, right? You will all be getting, Jessica, Raquel, all of you. You have found the link. Very good. So all the links will be coming your way. But please do watch the recorded webinars. Do get other colleagues to join you for the webinars. And please go and enjoy your Tuesday, the rest of the day. If some of you are still going on to another school, university, etc., language center, where you have young learners, whatever, enjoy the rest of the day. And once again, thank you very much. We hope you have a festive end of year, right? And we hope to see you at the Success Academy in January. But you will be hearing from us. You will be reading things that we send you, okay? So thank you. Bye-bye. You rock. Keep on rocking. Thank you. Bye. Closing camera. Closing